Hi, my name's Jim. I'm a Dutch ecologist. I live in Amsterdam, and I've been, partaking in environmental and biodiversity issues almost for my entire life. Ever since I was a kid, I was already active, jumping in creeks, looking for all kinds of amphibians and insects and other kinds of animals. So the natural world has always been part of my DNA. Because of that, I eventually became an ecologist with my primary research focusing on bats and swifts. So that means that we look at the living habits of bats and swifts in the Netherlands and making sure the population is fine and that their locations where they live and spend the night are doing great as well. Other than that, I'm also part of the European Climate Pact as an ambassador, focusing on biodiversity in the Benelux. So that means Belgium, the Netherlands, and Luxembourg. And what I do is I actually try to promote biodiversity in a positive sense. How can we talk about biodiversity? How can we engage people in biodiversity? And how can we make people act on biodiversity? So that's what I also do through storytelling. Because I've just rounded up a second master's degree, which is focusing on international communication management, with my thesis focusing primarily on climate change communication and how storytelling can improve climate change communication in the Netherlands. That's why I'm a strong believer in educating people through relatable stories. And that's what I try to do as an ambassador for the European Climate Pact, but also as an ecologist. Because being an ecologist is not just about walking around lurking in the streets for animals, it's also about educating people and showing people how important biodiversity is and what these animals are doing and why they're useful to not only the natural world, but also to us. And try to do it in a fun way. So not just telling them, showing them, and hoping that they get interested. So that's the environmental projects. The main issues that I've come across during such projects is that people in the Netherlands, they say they care about the natural environment, they say they care about climate change, but their willingness to act on it is rather not there for the majority of the time. For example, if I look close to my friends and family, they only started caring about nature in an active sense because of me. I showed them how fun it is to be in nature, but also how important nature is and what you can do to actually help the environment by doing small adjustments to your standards of living, albeit eating less meat, albeit recycling, albeit buying secondhand clothing, or just helping out a snail crossing down the road and make sure it doesn't get flattened by someone who's walking their dogs. It's the small things, right? And the only reason they started caring for that is because I was able to show them why it's important to do such things. And that actually motivated me to be more active on a larger scale in the Netherlands. And that's why I'm using platforms such as social media and also my role as an ecologist to interact with people and tell them and show them primarily why it's fun and how it's actually super easy to make small changes that have a significant positive impact on your life and on the natural world. But it's very hard to break through the barrier when someone is not primarily known what the natural world actually is. And I also believe that many people like me, and probably you, that are caring about the natural world live in a bubble. So we don't really get into interactions with people that don't really care about the natural environment or not actually active in the natural environment. So I want to actually go out and talk to people who know nothing about or not much about the natural environment or climate change or biodiversity, because those are the people you gotta reach and talk to and show what they can do. So what I actually want to achieve with all this is, well, let's keep it simple. First, I want to achieve in the thing in the Netherlands is that people just start caring more about the environment, but also act on it. So while it's always good to go to demonstrations or say you care and talk to people about it, I just want people to act on it. Because politicians talk a lot, corporations talk a lot, but in the end, the only ones that can make a change is actually me and you by voting differently, living differently, and just acting differently overall. But I want to show you and everyone else in the Netherlands and eventually Europe and eventually the world that it's actually super easy to do so. So that's the kind of impact I hope to achieve. And while doing that, I want to actually you enjoy it as well. I mean, for example, I can show you spiders are not scary. I can tell you that spiders are super fun and they're very interesting and they're actually kind of cute and they're the best moms out there in the bug kingdom. But hey, you probably didn't know that, right? So that's what I want to achieve. Future projects. I got so many things I want to do in the future. Right now, I'm still primarily focused on being an ecologist. But in September, I'll be leaving the country for about a year. I'll be traveling through North America all the way down to South America. While doing so, my partner and I actually want to collect stories and share them with other people all around the world and show them how people interact with the natural environment in other places. Both positive stories, but also negative stories that we give a positive spin to. Because everything you hear nowadays in the media or from people around you is mostly negative news. It kind of disassociates people with what you actually can do. So I want to share stories of success and positivity from around the world. And that's my biggest project.